So thank you again for joining. I see some familiar names, so we're happy to have you guys back. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephanie Rubin. I'm the Director of Collaboration Business at 2020 Technology. If you should keep checking our website. We have continuous webinars we're scheduling. The next one that's coming up is a D10 webinar, which we're going to showcase some D10 products, and we're actually going to raffle off a D10 Me, which is a pretty cool new appliance. So definitely check it out. For a quick introduction for 2020 Technology, for those of you who don't know us, we are located in Ashburn, Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. Our core competencies are helping organizations develop cloud migration strategies and leading domestic and global cloud collaboration deployments since about 2013. After this webinar, if you'd like to learn more about inContact's contact center platform, please contact me so we can set up a demo. And I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. And as a lot of you know, I will be reaching out to you after the webinar as well. And I believe everybody should be receiving a pizza today if you registered by Friday. And so please enjoy lunch on inContact, and a big thank you to Nick for organizing that for everybody. And this session will be recorded and we're going to post it to our YouTube channel. And again, I'll email that link out as well. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to the next slide here. We have Adam Arbeit, who's the district sales manager for inContact, and he's going to dive into the inContact.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Adam Arbeit, district sales manager at inContact. I'm based out of New Jersey, and I support the Northeast Territory for inContact. For those of you who might not be aware of inContact, haven't heard of us, essentially, we are the leader in the contact center as a service space. So this is our 15th year of providing contact center services in the cloud. And so everything that we provide, all the services, software functionality are all provided through the cloud. So, needless to say, we are very cloud focused, and we are continuing to expand our portfolio and deliver more and more solutions, functionality through the cloud. So the topic of today's webinar will be all around digital engagement. So, what are customers expecting today around digital? How can they interact with your company through digital channels, and how that will affect your business? So we thought we'd start off with a poll, and okay, there you go. So the poll question that we had is, what demographic is the largest percentage of your customer base? So I'll give everybody a few seconds here to think about that and then reply back on that poll. Just a few more seconds here. All right. We have some good response rates. All right. Can you guys show the poll results at this point? Okay. So it looks like Gen X first, baby boomers second. Okay. That's interesting. Some are just not sure. I think that makes sense. Okay. So let's keep going here. So here are results from a survey commissioned last year. So while the voice channel is still widely used, and voice and digital channels need to be integrated seamlessly to address customer needs across generations, the research really confirms that Generation Z and millennials, they have a clear preference towards digital. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, especially anybody that has kids. Gen Z and millennials are increasing in number as consumers for all types of companies, and they're bringing their digital preferences with them. So as you can see here, 90% of Gen Z and 84% of millennials surveyed prefer digital channels in interacting with service organizations. They predominantly use digital channels when communicating at a personal level. Like, that's no surprise. My daughter in the next room will literally text me rather than, just kind of saying, "Hey, Dad," or coming over to talk to me. She will literally text me. And I'm sure, many of you on the webinar can sort of, concur that that's common. So, that's a huge jump from Gen X and especially boomers at 49% and 10% respectively. So for many companies, they saw this overwhelming, generational shift coming, but many others, have been caught off guard here, and they're scrambling to deliver on the needs for, for these two growing demographics. And that's why, although, the shift is underway, where, the majority prefer digital channels like chat and SMS messaging and email, and even self-service, an overwhelming, a percentage, so 92% view the service and options across these channels as poor or mediocre at best. Why is that? Because most organizations aren't fully able to deliver on customer expectations here. Today's consumers, they expect to be able to use their channel of choice. So however they want to reach into your organization, they expect to be able to do that. And it's really based on, the type of problem or maybe issue that needs to be addressed and their current situation. And they expect the experience to be seamless, regardless of what channel type that is. They expect the same level of service, right? So, other recent studies shows that a company's net promoter score, they're better when they introduce digital. And that digital and automation, it drives a higher level of customer satisfaction, which in turn drives net promoter score. So as you can see on the top row here, the top 3 customer service channels that drove the highest net promoter score amongst customers, online chat, mobile apps, and company's website, all have some sort of digital and or self-service component, right? People want to be able to do these things without having to pick up the phone and call. You can also see that the net promoter score for agent-assisted channels specifically, with text and chat being the 2 digital channels represented here. So it's interesting because, here we see, net promoter score for online chat's high, but for text channel it's low. So one thing to note is that, it doesn't necessarily mean that net promoter score is negative. So, customers might not like to text. And so your organization shouldn't implement text. Absolutely not. It's the complete opposite of that. It reflects really the fact that more companies need to do a better job on text. And it makes the case as to why it's so important to roll out SMS text messaging and roll it out well. It shows that customers, they want to interact on text, but companies, they're just not meeting their expectations here. And often what we found in talking to contact centers, about SMS texting is often that, they don't actually support text, but customers are texting them anyway. So, there could be a phone number that is, displayed as a way to contact customer service. And people are just instinctively, they're sending SMS messages there and not getting a response. And they're not getting a response and wondering, geez, what is going on here? And like, that's how deep the level of expectations are here around SMS. It's just many people just expect it to be there now. So it's clear that, digital channels, there's no doubt about it, they're increasing in popularity. And when they are done well, they are great for customer loyalty. Okay? So let's talk about the reality that we're all living with here for the last 6 months or so, since COVID-19 arrived. These trends around digital, they're already happening. We all know that. But COVID-19, it's really accelerated that adoption rate. And more than anything, it's added fuel to the fire, right? Moving these things further along. So, we've consistently seen across recent history that in times of crisis, these events accelerate change, right? So there are trends that are already happening, but then a major event triggers its acceleration. We saw it with internet and telecom and outsourcing coming out of the .com era, and we saw the emergence of SaaS, software as a service, social media, and even gig work coming out of the recession. And now we expect to see those similar accelerants as a result of the pandemic coming out of 2020. And if you're in this space, what's happened, around, names like Zoom, right? And one thing that we anticipate is, and we're seeing it, is the acceleration around digital transformation for contact centers. And one reason, and it's pretty obvious, is that it just, life looks different for customers now, so customers, your customers, your end users, they're juggling so many things at home. We were just talking about it earlier about, dealing with all our kids doing, remote homeschooling. And many of us are working remotely from home. And when we get finished at the end of the day, which I don't know, days don't seem to end now. They just kind of go into one day next to the next day. But when your day does end, the last thing you really want to do is pick up your phone and make more calls. And especially when your kids are in the background and, they're running around the house and chasing each other and fighting and screaming and all these things. So, it really makes it important to have that digital option. And when we when we think about digital, we really divide it into sort of two types of groups. There's the first gen digital, and everybody has seen these. They've been around for years. That's really your email and your web chat. And these are the digital channels. They've been around for a while. We've been supporting them for quite a long time. And then there's a next gen digital. And these are things like your social platforms, right? Your Facebook, your Twitter, etc. WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Instagram, keep going, right? But not just the public posts, right? Not just the posts that, everybody can see that follows your organization. But it's also being able to support those private messages as well, right? And customers are really expecting that. So there's some fundamental differences that companies will have to address, in the coming months and years to get that next gen digital right. Firstly, it's asynchronous interactions, and these, they're really the rule, not the exception to the case. And because of that, new KPIs are needed to measure success around these channels, right? How are you tracking these? Response times are unpredictable here, right? When you talk about digital interactions, it's not the same as voice, right? You're not having that real-time interaction. It's totally acceptable and normal for a customer to kind of appear and disappear. I think we've, those of us that have traveled before COVID and when we used to be able to travel, I could send a message to my airline about an issue that I was having about my flight, about a delay or about a baggage issue, or you name it, when I'm, when I'm waiting and getting ready to board my plane. And then I might go silent on them for 3, 4, 5 hours as I'm in air and I'm traveling to the next city I'm going to. And then when I land, maybe then I'm reaching out again, following up on that same issue. The next sort of situation that you can have is, one agent on multiple interactions. Typically, you can have the same digital agent that's handling multiple parallel interactions with different customers, and maybe even in different channels at the same time, right? The third way to look at this is, digital interactions, they require much richer features and deeper personalization. So what do we mean here? Why is this important? So conversations that you're having, not only can they, sort of traverse across multiple agent shifts, but they may also involve different channels to get to that resolution. Maybe you're talking with one of your, customers on chat and SMS and maybe an email, all around trying to get resolution on the same issue. So every agent, no matter, whether they were the original agent handling the digital interaction, or, they picked up after, their previous shift ended, they need to be able to offer that personalization and understand what has happened, right? When when you're talking to one of your customers, you don't want them to have to start at the start every time, they're reaching out to you, right? You want to know what has happened so far in this interaction. What have you learned about it? And hey, let's not make the customer repeat everything, because nothing frustrates customers more than having to repeat the same information over and over again. We should be able to understand what has happened so far about this interaction, and provide the tools that the agents need to just kind of pick up on that that interaction, and just keep moving forward. Let's not go back and have to, ask customers to repeat themselves time and time again. The last thing is, what this affects from an analytics and reporting perspective, right? So digital channels, you have to be careful how you set standards on them, because they're so different than real-time interactions. Every application has a different interface, capabilities with minimal, if any, standardization across the channels. Those of us have been in contact center for a long time. We know kind of the typical 80-30 SLA for voice channels. But it's a little bit harder to define the standards across the board when you're talking digital, right? And so those are some things that, we need to keep a close eye on, and adjust as we go, because these are KPIs that that could change, and we need to be very clear on on how we're tracking these SLAs. So with these, sort of differences in mind, how do you provide a great digital customer service experience? You guys know, you hear your customers. I'm sure you're seeing it. We're moving towards a point where they're demanding these digital channels. But how can we implement them and do it in a way where we're satisfying their needs? It's one thing to provide that option, provide that channel, and it's another thing to excel in that channel and to be able to leverage that channel as a competitive differentiator, right? To provide that great service. So we'll talk about the process here that makes sense. We'll talk about just understanding what their needs are, setting that approach to how you begin to, sort of figure that out, and then executing in an agile and a scalable way that really provides that great service that your customers are no doubt expecting. So understanding the needs, that's first, right? The contact center adoption and the support for the first generation of digital channels, like we mentioned, like your email and chat, maybe video chat as well. Potentially, sometimes you might see contact centers that also offer co-browsing option on top of chat. Yes, that's been growing rapidly for quite a while. Mobile apps that that companies roll out and develop, typically they are tightly tied to of course the adoption of smartphones, which also have been around for a while, and these these custom apps are gaining traction, even though the contact center support around these applications has lagged. So it's definitely lagged on the adoption of these technologies. So while the first generation of these digital channels, again, like email and chat, they're doing fine, and we still roll out quite a bit of it. Chat is really having what I see having the highest growth rate of all the contact center channels. And customers are rapidly moving towards these first gen channels. We're seeing it, when I first started in contact center, it was something sort of customers asked about, can I roll out chat if that's something that I wanted to do? And we saw that as really a box checking measure. And now it's really not a box checking. It's customers are rolling chat out, almost across the board. And now the same thing is happening with social, right? So we're seeing the adoption of Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, et cetera, around the contact center, and the ability to sort of handle those interactions just like any other interaction type through the contact center. So, find out where your customers are. That's really, what you need to do. It seems obvious, but you'd probably be surprised at how often that piece is overlooked. Organizations will, sort of skip that step. They just sort of put blinders on and just move forward. They invest a lot of time, invest a lot of money, and end up not really providing, what their customers need. So needless to say, we should all know our customers, their journey, their persona. All this information is, invaluable to sort of understanding the needs and building that product and giving your customers the ability to reach out to you on that channel. So, for example, one of the things that we're seeing quite a bit of is requests around WhatsApp. It has a very high adoption rate in the international space. So if you're, sort of more of a local or state, run, utility or something like that, chances are your customers will not be looking for you on WhatsApp, right? And it could be a channel that you might not need to, to really look at or prioritize, or you might need to reach them on a different channel, right? Something that makes more sense. But if you're a company that's really, more in the travel space, or, providing some international services, then WhatsApp, it might be high on your list now. And it's something that, you need to look into. Another example would be if you're, if your organization is servicing the needs of more of an elderly population, right? You have, we sort of saw that poll. So if you're, sort of, serving baby boomers, let's say, then, you might not need to roll out Twitter yet, but maybe Facebook. And that might make more sense. So, that, grandparents love commenting on grandkids' photos and all those types of things. And, we're definitely seeing Facebook be more for, the older consumers of social media. So, basically understand what your customers' needs are just before jumping in and rolling out, new digital channels, common sense type stuff. So when we talk about understanding our needs, a lot of companies that are, trying to understand the needs and figure out where their customers are, if sort of current projections hold true, what we're seeing in some of the surveys that we're doing, almost 90% of contact centers are planning to support messaging and mobile self-service apps within a 2-year time frame. So adoption of these types of applications, social media, web chat, these are expected to be even higher. In a Frost & Sullivan benchmark survey, we found WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and even WeChat beat SMS and emails in popularity amongst customers. And I would not have guessed that. And you'll need to figure out if that's the same case for your organization. Maybe not. But what it does underline is the importance, to spend the time to understand your individual customers' needs, the types of customers that you service. Okay. So the next step in providing great digital customer service is the approach. So let's say you've already identified you want to implement digital. You want to do it right, and you want to do it right the first time. You don't want to have to take multiple swings at it. So, like we all know, you get one chance to make a first impression, and those first impressions, they go a long way and are, typically not forgotten. So you can't really take a lackadaisical approach and sort of go half in and deliver essentially what might be a terrible experience, and then hope that we've kind of learned from it. We'll recover, and then we'll fix what we kind of got wrong the first time. So I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I had a bad experience with a major technology company that I have in the past bought a lot of products from. And I just was not getting good service. So I reached out to them over Twitter, thinking that, well, if I sort of publicly shamed them, tweeted to them out in the Twitter sphere, that maybe I would get, a good response, and they'd sort of help me resolve my issue, which was, really a reasonable request that I thought I had. And they never replied. So I couldn't get any satisfaction no matter how I tried to reach out to them. So essentially what I did was I basically, I've decided I'm not going to buy products from them anymore. And I went and bought from somebody else. And that's it. As far as I'm concerned, I'm no longer going to be a consumer of their products. And it made me, feel worse about them, trust them less. And essentially I purchased from a different company, and I will continue to do that in the future. And I don't think that's uncommon. I think that's, sort of a common approach from consumers these days. And that's why it sort of leads me to provide a warning here, in that poorly designed digital experiences can really hurt you more than help. And you need to pay close attention to how you roll it out, and put thought into how you execute on digital, and make sure that you're managing customer expectations. So around things like response times and availability of your agents and visibility into all these issues. Okay. So now that we've talked about sort of identifying the needs and the approach, on the front end, your approach, it doesn't just impact your ability to acquire and meet these new customers on what could be these new channels. It also has an impact on your existing customers, right? Your existing customer base. And there could be a piece of that around re-winning their loyalty. So, 2020 has been a crazy year. We've all gone through a lot here and continue to do so. And maybe there are some organizations out here, that are on this webinar, that they've implemented some kind of digital channels to kind of respond to some pressing customer needs. And maybe the approach was, hey, we know it's not perfect, but at least it's something. And at least we've put some effort out there, and we'll kind of fix it as we go. And initially, customers could have been fine with that. They could have been, okay with that. Hey, it's not perfect, but hey, we're in a pandemic and it is what it is. But if you're like me, and I think most people out there, sort of that free pass is gone, and your expectations now are that the service, regardless of how you're reaching out to these companies, need to be the same. It needs to feel exactly the same regardless of how I am reaching out to these organizations. And customer service needs to be good regardless, right? There is no more free passes anymore. There is so much choice out there amongst consumers, so many different options, that you have to provide great customer service. You just have to. That's a differentiator nowadays. So digital is here to stay, and well beyond once we're past COVID-19. It's it's something that will just continue to gain steam, and more consumers will demand it. So sort of as we kind of mentioned at the beginning, now is the chance, and now is the time where you can go ahead and sort of re-win your customers' loyalty. We can do it right the first time. We can make a serious investment in digital and meet their expectations, maybe even exceed them, right? Provide better service than they would even think was possible. And last but not least is, the importance of executing, this digital approach, and doing it in an agile and, more importantly, a scalable way, right? In a way that, we can meet all the demand. And the digital transformation that we're talking about, it's more than just really implementing new channels, and just offering that, sort of way in. It has effects throughout the entire organization, right? And you need to take those into account. It's how these digital channels are delivered, right? How are we going to deliver them to the agent and decide which agent should get which interaction? How will all these digital channels work together? Will it just be seamless? Can agents move with their customers across different channels? And as they're doing that, how much context of those interactions can be provided to the agent, right? How much information can we provide so that the agent has what they need at their fingertips as these interactions, as these customers are moving across these channels? So the decision to implement, a new digital channel, it's not just like, yeah, okay, we'll go through IT and, we'll figure out what we need and we'll just kind of throw this, this option up on our contact us page. You need to think about how it's going to affect things like reporting, right? How it's going to affect analytics, workforce management, your forecasting and scheduling your agents, your quality management. How are you going to make sure that agents are servicing these new channels in an appropriate way, right? And that's why you have to take a holistic approach, and organizations, need to look at all these factors before just kind of going out there and just saying, we're just going to go ahead and throw chat out there and we'll start taking those chats, right? So part of that execution in how digital interactions are routed and delivered to agents is to avoid that, that sort of siloed experience. So, with some organizations out there that, have these digital channels out there, but it's really a siloed experience. So one set of agents only handle chat. Another set of agents might only handle email. Another set might handle voice. So that is a less than optimal approach. And, what we're seeing today is, the best approach is really a blended experience and the ability for agents to kind of handle all these different interaction types, and maybe not all of them, maybe a subset. But it gives the contact center more agility to manage that, asynchronous nature of these digital contacts and be able to handle sort of whatever's thrown at them and move through, the experience with their customers, with context. So when we talk about executing, a digital plan, you need to ensure that technology that you focus on that has the ability to deliver on all your voice and all your digital messaging needs. And it needs to be able to do it today, not sort of tomorrow or next year or maybe the year after. You don't want to go ahead and create sort of that siloed experience where agents can only handle voice in one interface. And then they need to alt tab out and to go into something else to handle email. And then maybe alt tab out and go into something else to handle a chat, right? That's not a great experience. It's not a great experience for your agents, and it's not a great experience for your customers. So being able to provide your agents with the tools where they can blend those interactions, it streamlines it, and, it gives them the tools that they need and provides them ultimately with more context. So it gives them everything that they need to provide, just a great holistic omni-channel experience to your customer base. And when we're talking about sort of that holistic approach, we're talking about the delivery and the ability to support all these diverse channels. But again, all the downstream impacts, right, that can ripple through the organization, your workforce engagement, right, your workforce management, your forecasting, your scheduling. Can your WFM platform process all that historical data around digital channels, right? Can we provide accurate forecasting and schedules when we start looking at all that interaction history? You need to ensure that your recording platform is able to support, the capturing also of these digital channels, and all the while still be able to adhere to all the regulations that you need to make sure are in place, and making it easy for supervisors to see those interactions, to see transcripts, and make it just as easy as their ability to kind of listen in on voice interactions and make sure from a quality perspective that agents are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay. And as we talked about, KPIs look very different for digital channels, right? Things like average handle time and service levels, they sort of go out the window. So can your performance management piece, can that platform help you understand, what success would look like in that next gen digital contact center? And same for analytics. Are you seeing everything that you need to see from an analytics perspective, right? So let's talk about an example, a real life customer example of an effective rollout of digital. So Swedish Rail, it is a European government-owned train operator. They have 90% market share on the local passenger train market, and for them, a key strategic focus around digital was really to enhance customer experience. That's really what they were focused on. Ensuring that their ticket sales and communication with their customer base can be done as much as possible just right on the customer smartphone. That's what their customer base wanted, and that's what they were driving towards. So, they knew that they really had to transform their customer service to predominantly a digital one to kind of meet that demand. So as they were kind of helping their customers sort of help themselves on their digital purchasing journey, they learned a lot, right? After some of the initial hurdles that they had, they ended up seeing a sizable reduction in repeat contacts, right? So less people calling in, reaching out to them with problems, with issues, and that's a good thing, right? You lower the amount of contacts coming in, you lower your call volume, you lower your costs. So considerable cost savings. Another effect on the strong focus around digital was a boost in just their overall brand awareness. That company today, it's one of the highest growth travel brands in the country. And in fact, what we heard from them is that they now have higher growth rates than the local airlines and even maritime passenger transport services there, which they have quite a lot of. And lastly, the ability to address 94% of social interactions that they were able to achieve. So couple that with a 25% increase in the number, from overall interaction volume, and that's just helped them boost their overall, customer advocacy and just how their customers are feeling about them. So it truly is, a customer success story, and it really does help support the overall view that digital is truly the way to go. And so if you're looking at those results and you're thinking, geez, we're really behind the whole digital thing, definitely don't be too hard on yourself, because until very recently, brands were just not able to deliver on next gen digital. It just was almost impossible. And why is that? Well, the existing options that were there, right? We still talk to customers all the time who are just like, yeah, we thought about doing digital, but it was just too price prohibitive, too complex to implement. And, we just decided it just was an impossibility. And that is no longer the case. We have the ability to provide, these types of digital channels at at a price point that customers can absolutely consume, and it's truly a no-brainer. So I think overall, there were just not enough digital options to meet customer expectations until, relatively recently. And, there needed to be the right infrastructure, the right options for customers to kind of take it on and to implement, these, sort of digital options. Often what we saw was digital channels was sort of a one-off project, right? So somebody in an organization would say, hey, I heard about this vendor that can do, chat. Let's go out, we'll buy it and we'll implement it, and then we'll be good to go. We'll say we have digital. And what that did was kind of create another pain point. It created another area where there's a silo, where only those digital channels that had that, that digital option, that chat license could do it, and it wasn't integrated into anything else in the contact center solution. So what did that mean? It means no integration from a routing and handling perspective. Multiple platforms to administer. So now you've got not just one platform, you've got two platforms you need to administer. Reporting in multiple places, analytics in multiple places. And how does that affect your workforce management and your quality management? Can you schedule and forecast when you've got multiple platforms? Maybe, but how accurate is it? How difficult is it? Does the integration between these, disparate platforms, does that break? Potentially. So this is where our platform, CX1, digital omnichannel, becomes really useful. Why? Because it is a truly unified platform. You've got, the option to, to roll out over 30 plus digital channels in your contact center. And that's all supported by one platform, CX1. So I can see here in the colored circle, we've got integrations with all of these digital channels, including some that, you might have never heard of, ones like Line or Viber, or like I keep going. There's so many social channels out there, to be honest, I didn't hear of. These channels are easy to activate from within CX1, within the platform. Generally, they're all included, so you don't pay for each individual channel separately. And that simple pricing that we provide, it removes the barriers to all, to support multiple digital channels. So our platform CX1, it's the first one to deliver a, truly a complete, unified, cloud native, all built in the cloud, a cloud native suite for customer analytics, for omnichannel routing, and workforce engagement. It's all built in one open cloud foundation, and also comprises AI and automation infused throughout the platform. So literally just one interface, one platform to serve for your contact center. So NICE inContact as a leader in the cloud contact center space. Year after year, we are named as the leader with over 85 of the Fortune 100 companies as customers. Well over 430,000 agents worldwide using CX1 and operating in over 100 countries with a 99.99% guaranteed uptime written into the contract. And when we talk about how easy it is to get started, it's really never been easier or faster to kind of get going on our platform. We invite all the participants on the webinar today to browse to the NICE inContact webpage, find out more about our no risk pilot. We have the ability to turn customers up in as quick as a week and provide a 60-day free, no obligation and no cost if not satisfied, a proof of concept. Try the application out, see how it works for you, see how it feels, see how it looks. And that's something that, again, I invite all attendees on the webinar to take a few minutes and do and reach out. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and log in to CX1 here and just give you guys a quick look at the user experience. Certainly not doing a deep detailed demonstration today, but want to give you a look and a feel for how the application looks, and certainly would love to set up a more customized demonstration with everyone that's interested on the webinar. Be glad to understand exactly what's relevant for you and your organization, and customize a true demonstration for the individuals within your organization, so they can get a good sense of sort of what everything CX1 can do. So I'm going to pause here for a little water break. Excuse me. Okay, so quick demo here. So first thing I'd like to mention is, CX1, it's a completely browser-based, true multi-cloud application. So what does that mean for you and your organization? It means there's no hardware to install. It means there's no software to install. It's just a browser-based application. So I put in my user credentials here, and I'll put in my password. And now, based on the roles.
Hey, Adam, I'm still seeing the PowerPoint slide.
Oh, you are? Huh.
Yeah.
Apologize. Let me stop here. Okay, bear with me here 1 second. Okay.
That's better.
Good. All right, yeah, great. Thank you. Appreciate it, Stephanie.
No problem.
So based on the roles and permissions that are assigned to me, my username, that's going to expose different things to me. And if I'm a supervisor or administrator, I might have more visibility into certain things on the platform versus an agent who might have more of a limited view, but a very granular roles and permissions. So it's up to you and your organization how you basically make things available to your user base. So as you can see here, I've logged in. And as we mentioned, so CX1 is not just like an integrated application on platform. It is a fully unified platform. So all the features and function, that is all of our own intellectual property, are just available to you here. So think of it as a menu selection. And as I need to go ahead and move into different parts of the platform, I simply click on that area. So if I want to go and configure and administer my ACD, I simply click here. If I want to go and work on my workforce management, it's here. Quality management, reporting, analytics, it's all here at my fingertips. And I don't need to go and alt tab out and to go into some other application. It's all literally here in one unified interface. Okay. As a agent, so let's think of myself as an agent here, and I logged in. I've already been authenticated. So as an agent, I'm going to come in here and launch my browser-based agent client. And this application, we refer to it as Max. This one application will provide me the ability to handle any interaction type. So whether it's a voice call, a chat, an email, an SMS message, social media, I can literally route any interaction through this one single agent client. So I don't need to alt tab out and to go to Outlook, for example, to handle email, and go out to some other application to handle an SMS message. Every interaction can flow directly into this one agent client. So it's very easy for agents to handle any interaction type, and really easy when we're talking about agent training. Typically, agents can get up and running on this application after a 30-minute training. So as I'm looking at my agent client here, we're tracking everything the agents do down to the second. Fully configurable and customizable unavailable codes that you can create as many as you want. When we talk about the unification of our platform, as an agent, I have everything that I need directly in this agent interface. So what do I mean by that? I have my schedule built right into my front page. I can see when I'm supposed to go on break, when I'm supposed to go on lunch, my other break, or end of shift. It's all fully unified with my workforce management, so I have full visibility into my schedule. I can also log into my full workforce engagement management here. And I can see everything that I need around my schedule. I can see information around evaluations that my supervisors have done on me and review them. If I'm making shift bidding available, I can do that here. I can review coaching packages. I can see recent interactions that I've done, all available in one space. So it makes it really easy for an agent to do everything they need to do from one interface. Okay. I can take or make interactions here and really customize this whole experience and build this out for maybe a specific agent or specific teams of agent, and build it, essentially give them the view that's right for them. So really great, powerful agent client that allows me to handle any interaction type. Now, as we move back towards supervisors and administration of the platform, not only do we have a purpose-built agent client, we also have a purpose-built supervisor client. So again, browser-based, I can launch my supervisor client. And here's where I can do a lot of the administration that I need to do on my platform. I can see all my agent population. I can see what their state is. I can see how long they've been logged in, how many interactions they've handled, what types of interactions. I can see the skills that have been assigned to them and their proficiency levels within those skills. So I have the ability to make adjustments to proficiency levels and essentially decide how many interactions agents are getting. Should I increase their proficiency level so they get more? Maybe they're performing really well and doing great, or maybe I should reduce it, feed them less interactions as they're kind of coming up to speed in different skills. I can also remove or add skills from here. So I don't need to go in and go into full administration mode to do these things. We've made it easy for supervisors to be able to kind of tackle these tasks that they have to do like throughout the day. Not only that, from this one application, I can also do lots of things around monitoring my agents. I can do silently monitor from here. I can barge in on interactions. I can whisper coach to them. I can become a third person on a call, or I can do an agent takeover here and actually take over an interaction from an agent here as well. So very easy to do these things, and built right into the supervisor client. From a reporting perspective, not only do we have pre-built reports built into the platform where we make it easy for supervisors to run reports. And we've got 37 pre-built reports here that they can just go ahead and run and apply some filters and see the information that they want to see. We also have a fully featured custom reporting module built into the application. So if our 37 pre-built reports don't meet your needs, you also have the ability to come in and create as many custom reports as you want. So you can come in, create a report template, and literally create the exact custom report that you want for your organization. So it's as simple as coming in, creating a report template, and checkboxing, the fields and metrics that are important for you, and go ahead and build the exact custom report, that you want for your organization. No limit. Create as many custom reports as you want, and set a schedule up to have those custom reports delivered on a timetable that makes sense for you and your organization.
Hey, Adam, we got 5 minutes left. We want to see if maybe there's any questions. I know you have a ton that you probably want to show everybody, but just to make sure if there's a question, if someone has to leave, that we can address it.
You bet. You bet.
So if anybody has a question, you could type it in the Q&A. If you want, Adam, you could probably continue to talk, but if people have questions, you can enter them now, and we'll try and answer them here in the next minute or so.
Sounds good. Yeah. Last thing I was really going to show you was dashboards as well. So not only do we provide very comprehensive reporting out of the box, we also provide the ability for you to create any type of dashboard that you like. Extremely powerful, but yet easy to do. So I can go ahead and essentially just create a new dashboard as long as I have the roles and permission to do that. And then essentially just drag and drop all the relevant things for me as I create my dashboard. So from a QM perspective, do I want to see a little bit about agent scoring and maybe evaluations? I can move to our ACD module and see, okay, let me also check on how many interactions are waiting in queue, and maybe a service level module. And then from WFM perspective, I'll go ahead and choose one and look at, maybe how service levels are performing from workforce manager perspective, and maybe average speed of answer. And so that's how easy it is to kind of create these dashboards, and then go ahead and customize these different widgets and set them the way that I want. So very powerful, but you do not need to be a developer to use this platform. And quite often it's the business folks that are sort of making these adjustments and creating their own dashboards with no need for, for IT intervention or support. And that was really all I want to show you. So again, it's for a high level demo. We'd love to do more customized demonstrations for anybody that would be interested. And I'm more than happy to do that. So I don't know if any questions come through?
No, I don't see any questions, but thank you again, Adam, for your great presentation. I actually learned a lot, so that was good.
Good.
I
Great.
hope everybody received their pizza. If you haven't, just let me know. And as most of you know, I will be harassing you over the next few days, thanking you for joining, and then hopefully getting a quick conversation with you to learn more about your organization, and if you have any contact center needs that we can discuss, and hopefully set up a deeper dive demo with inContact. So thank you all for joining us. And again, don't forget, check out our website for the next one coming up, which will be in November, I think the 4th, if I remember correctly. But yeah, thanks again. We'll see you there. And
All
thanks,
right.
inContact, for the
All
pizzas
right.
and the presentation.
You bet. Thanks, Stephanie. Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thank you.
day.